Hey, I'm Dr. Sam, a PT here with REI Co-op, and with the help of Anna, we're going to run through some cross-training exercises for snowboarding with you. It's really important to cross-train for snowboarding to try and prevent injury, nail those turns, and keep up that stamina on the slopes.
For snowboarding, we'll work on hip roll, walking lunge with rotation, lunge squat, lateral jump, plank hold with leg movements, squat with heel-toe raise, lift, hip clock. During this video, we'll do a quick demo of each exercise and lay out a basic training plan for you.
Remember, before you start any exercise, to consult your doctor or physical therapist if needed.
Hip roll.
So we really want to prep those hips before we get started on some of these other more intense exercises. And the hips are going to be important to really control the way that that knee's moving and preventing all of this diving in. So really trying to get that full rotation, shooting for 15 reps each side, going through that one time. If that feels a little too hard, you can put your back foot down and turn that way, really still feeling that work happening in that hip, or grab onto something nearby you, maybe a countertop or a chair, to stabilize yourself. And just using the chair as much as you need it.
Walking lunge with rotation.
Let's warm up with the walking lunge and rotation exercise to really get your body ready for all the other movements we'll be doing. Just to remember, as you're doing the walking lunge, to keep everything in a nice alignment from your hip to your toes and trying to stay nice and tall as you rotate through. Ideally, you want to be able to go about 10 spaces out and 10 spaces back. One way to modify this, if you're short on space, is just like Anna, taking a couple steps at a time, or not going as deep into that lunge.
Lunge squat.
What's important here is as you're transitioning from that squat to that lunge, to really make sure that that knee's not wobbling or really going past your toes here. So if you can, you're going to shoot for doing 15 each leg and running through one set of that before moving on to the next exercise. Some easy things that you can do to modify it are not going as deep into that squat or as deep into that lunge. Maybe just putting your foot back behind you and coming back up to the start position.
Lateral ski jump.
Since this is such a dynamic movement, you want to make sure that when you're landing, it's nice and soft and you're not wobbling there. So that way we're really working on that power through our hips and our quads. Shooting for jumping 15 times to each side, going through that once before we move on to the next exercise. Ways that you can make this harder are jumping farther to each side, or as Anna's going to show here, really sinking down into it. Good. And then you can make it easier by simply stepping to the side and working on balance that way.
Plank hold with leg movements.
As you get into that plank position, you really want to focus on keeping that back nice and flat. So think about tucking that belly button to your spine and starting from a good stable base. What we're going to do then is have Anna lift that knee and then out to the side. As you're dynamically moving with this exercise, try not to let those hips really rock with the motion and focus on really engaging those leg muscles to move that leg out and back. So ideally, you want to try to hold this position for 30 seconds. To make it harder, see if you can work up to that 60 seconds. And then to make it easier, what you'll do is as you come into each position, dropping that foot down so that you feel nice and stable throughout the movement.
Squat with heel-toe raise.
This exercise is going to really help you with that endurance that you need as you're going into turns and carving down the mountain. So when she sets up into the squat, she's just going to make sure that she's keeping her back nice and straight and not letting her knees dive in. As she's raising onto her toes and her heels, we'll call that 1 rep. Try to do 15 of those. To make it a little bit easier, just try not to go as deep into that squat and really try and keep pressing up onto your toes and then back onto your heels.
Lift.
As you do the lift, remember to really turn through your trunk and not your arms to minimize the loading on your shoulders. And then as you come through, really extending on your toe to work on that glute versus arching through your back. Anna's only going to do a few for us, but try to do 15 each side for one set. And then to make it a little bit harder, you can of course move away from your anchor point to make that band tighter, or you can move towards it and make it a little bit lighter. Shoot for a band that's about medium resistance.
Hip clock.
As you work through the hip clock, some things to remember are trying to not let that knee wobble. And then as you take it into different directions, like Anna is here, not letting your weight shift over. Ideally, you'd run through this about 4 or 5 times on each leg for 1 set. And making sure, as Anna's doing, coming up to a nice tall position between each movement. To make it a little bit easier, try not to go out as far and really focus on that balance part of it. And then to make it harder, go ahead and see if you can squat deeper into each position. Now that you've finished running through that once, take a break, maybe a couple minutes, and see if you can go through that 2 or 3 more times. Throughout the week, see if you can do this routine 2 to 3 times, alternating with a day of rest, or maybe throwing in some cardio of your choice. When you're getting ready to start training, think about starting these exercises 6 to 8 weeks before the season.
Here's a reminder of the exercise list again with the number of suggested repetitions.
Great job. Hope to see you out there. And if you'd like, check out some other videos on snowboarding.